Hi, my name is Erica Malinowski. I'm one of the co-presidents of SOMA Action, and with me asking questions will also be Kyle Younger, one of our executive committee members. SOMA Action is a grassroots organization dedicated to driving progressive change. And as part of that, we put out a voter guide for every election, interviewing and sometimes evaluating candidates about their support for issues our committees are working on. There are many important issues facing our county, but for this interview, the questions are restricted to only those areas where SOMA Actions committees have put in at least as much work as we would be asking the candidates to do. So if you notice that important topics are missing, and they are, we encourage you to reach out to the candidates to ask about them and also to join a committee and help expand our work. Today, we're joined by Medinah Muhammad, a candidate for Essex County Board of Commissioners. Medinah Muhammad, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here to share more about myself and my values. So thank you.
Could you please introduce yourself and tell us why you're running for the Board of County Commissioners?
Yeah, sure. So my name is Medinah Muhammad. I am running for Essex County Commissioner to represent District 3, which includes the city of East Orange, Orange, South Orange, and the West Ward of Newark. And I am running because I believe the county commissioners should be a role where you're able to access county government and connect the dots between local government services, state government services, and be able to access your elected officials and have leadership that is transparent. I have some policy ideas that in this role that I would like to take on and really change the way we view county commissioners. The county commissioner role prior to being called a county commissioner was called a freeholder historically. And a freeholder was a name given to a white male property owner who was typically wealthy and likely owned people that look like me. And yet here I am running for this role, seeking to represent the very district that I've grown up in. I live in East Orange and I've grown up in East Orange and the West Ward. And it's important for me at this pivotal time in our history and in our country that our representatives are accessible and leading in a way that represents the needs of the community they serve. So that is why I'm running.
Thank you. Excuse me. Could you please tell us about what county commissioners do and what would your top three priorities be as commissioner?
Sure. So I'm sure everyone knows our county executive, but so few people know more about the county commissioners. The best way to explain what a county commissioner is if you think about your town council. Think about that model and how you have a town council and a mayor. And that setup may vary from town to town and how you elect your mayor or how the mayor is selected. But the mayor is sort of the CEO or the president of the town, if you will. And the same can be said for like our county executive. The county commissioners are essentially the representatives for each part of the county. And they sort of hold the county executive accountable. They manage the county's budget. They enforce a lot of the policies there, create policies there, and advocate for your needs. We so often hear about the county roads and the parks, but there are so many other county services that are available to residents throughout Essex that I want people to take advantage of and use. As taxpayers, we pay for these services and it's important to maximize them to improve the quality of life of residents.
And top three priorities?
Yes. So for me, I have a few policy things that I would like to work on. The first, though, before talking about policy, is to increase transparency for me. Um, Once elected, and if the voters select me to be their county commissioner for District 3, the very first thing I would like to do is go on a listening tour. I think it's important for the residents in District 3 to know that I am here for them. I'm here to serve them. So within that first 6 months, I would like to set up town halls within each municipality in the district to hear from residents, to connect with them, to hear about the issues they want to see change, and work with them to address them at the county level. In terms of policy, one of the first things I do want to focus on are some environmental changes. Considering how dense of a state we live in. We live in the densest state in the nation, but also our county is probably one of the densest in this state. Um, we see an influx of pollution from air, from land. Um, Not only that, but we see the ramifications of our earth changing from humans, taking for granted the beauty of our earth. And with that in mind, I do want to set the county up to have an environmental plan that by 2036, we will be able to have all of our vehicles be electric or hybrid. I would like to install charging and electric charging stations at all county facilities. I want to encourage people to take advantage of these options instead, to decrease our carbon footprint in that way. So that's important for me as a starting policy. And I look to work with environmentalists to build upon that. But most importantly, to hold ourselves accountable to a standard there. Um, that's one thing I have in mind. Another thing I have in mind is this is a model that actually I met with the mayor of South Orange recently, and she said they have a model similar to the one that I'm going to discuss that I want to bring to the county. Unfortunately, many families in Essex have experienced instances of violence in which requires the attention of the county prosecutor's office or the county sheriff's office or even local police. With that in mind, I would like to establish um, a, a full-time positions within the county prosecutors and county sheriff's offices, whether shared or individually in those departments, to enable social workers to be able to support those impacted by any violent crime. So often we've heard of the Arrive Together program, which was, started in Newark and, piloted there and very successful and then later brought throughout the state, right? And that sort of addresses the beforehand of mental health and things like that. But we very rarely have the opportunity to support families after the fact. We sort of leave them to pick up the pieces. And we shouldn't normalize that. We should, in fact, be able to normalize the fact that it's okay to ask for help. So I want to be able to support families after traumatic instances in that way, to provide them with the resources they need. This was an idea I came up with considering both of my parents are social workers. I know firsthand what it means to support people in this way. And with the rise of mental health needs amongst so many people in these times, it's important to be of support. So those are a couple of things I'm interested in working on. But I remain open and optimistic to new ideas. And I think that listening sessions will be important to really create a policy framework where I can hear those issues and create solutions to those issues.
Thank you. And you already touched on this, but currently, even residents who are very civically engaged don't know much about what county commissioners do and don't
Mhm.
hear from their commissioners very much.
Yeah.
What would you do to make sure that residents know what services you and the county are providing and that you are accountable to your constituents?
Yeah, so I love that question. I'm all about accountability and transparency in government. So for me, again, that starting with those listening sessions is crucial. I want folks to know who I am. I want people to be able to access me. And that's something I want to do within the first 6 months. Within the first year or two, though, I want to come back to each of these municipalities within the district with leaders from our county's offices to each of these municipalities to bring those services to them. So same model for like those listening sessions, but setting up like these town hall settings where town hall atmospheres where folks can meet with, I don't know, the county clerk's office in their own municipality. And not everybody has the time to go down to the Hall of Records to, embark on those services. So being able to bring those services to them is important to me and know that this is the role of the commissioner to connect the dots there and bridge those gaps. So that's important for me. I also want to note that in this digital age, right? As someone who currently serves on the Board of Ed in East Orange, I make it my business to post in real time what's happening, what decisions are being made, so people can stay abreast and know, okay, this is my Board of Ed member, this is what she's doing. This is how this decision might impact me. This is what's going on in my community. And I want to bring that breath of fresh air to the county commissioner role to keep people abreast and let them know that I'm here to serve them. But yeah.
Thank you. There's been a lot of concern about machine politics in state and county government in New Jersey, specifically conflicts of interest, corruption, and lawmakers who are accountable to party bosses instead of to their constituents.
Mhm.
What is your assessment of how significant of a problem this is, and what would you like to see done about it?
Yeah, I think it's important that leaders are transparent at every level. And I think it's important to keep in mind that, at least for me, when I am elected, I serve to represent the people. That's represented in the endorsements I am seeking, that is represented in the way that I am seeking to fundraise. That's represented in the values that I hold, that is represented in the team that I have. Um, all of those things are focused on people power, and that's at the core of everything that I do. So that's where I stand on that, and how I would like to move forward in my leadership is to be transparent with folks, to be honest, and to be a public servant.
Nationally, we're seeing an uptick in attacks on voting rights and threats that Trump might attempt to interfere with or disrupt elections.
Yeah.
What do you see as your role as county commissioner to help ensure our elections run smoothly and without interference?
Yeah, this is a big question. Elections are crucial to our democracy. They are our right. It's our right to vote. When I think about Trump's antics and his attempts to diminish folks' access to the right to vote, I think about the legacy of like my late grandmother who, grew up in a small town in Georgia, in Bartow, Georgia. And at the center of the town, there's this monument, if you will, and it looks like a gazebo. You would think it was a gazebo if you look past it, but in fact, it's a place where Black people were sold into slavery, and it still exists in the town. And it's a reminder that we're not too far off from a time where people that look like me, generations of people, weren't allowed to vote, had to fight to vote, were killed for the right to vote. So when I hear Donald Trump make these, take these attempts or steps to diminish the right to vote, I remind people often that there's power in the right to vote. And that is why Donald Trump is working to diminish that right. So many people sacrifice for us to have that right, and we shouldn't take it for granted. Um, Most recently, I had a meet and greet event in South Orange at Elitist Cafe. It was great way to patronize local businesses, but also get to know folks. It was a free event. And at that event, I heard from residents, constituents about, their sense of voter fatigue in South Orange. And in South Orange and Soma, there was just a special election, in which Anna Lilia became our now congressperson, right? But I don't want people to feel like, okay, I voted and now that's it. No, in New Jersey, and especially this year, there's still more election left. We have the primary in June. In certain parts of my district, there are municipal elections in May. Um, we also have November's election, right? It's important to not only educate voters, but remind them that their vote matters, and remind them that in New Jersey, elections for us, we work very hard to preserve the integrity of elections and increase accessibility. So the things that we see at the federal level, we've already sort of worked to combat. But it's important for people to recognize that their vote is important. And if folks are fighting so hard to suppress your vote, it should even signal to you even more why your vote is even more important. So that's where I stand on that. Every day there's something new with Donald Trump, and it's a mess. It is a mess.
Thank you. I'm going to pass it over to Kyle to ask the second set of questions.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much for joining us. I have about 5 questions for you. The first one is ICE has been kidnapping our residents, holding them in inhumane conditions in Delaney Hall and leaving families unable to meet their basic needs due to loss of income and crushing legal fees. What will you advocate for the county to do to help support our immigrant residents, especially those impacted by kidnappings, detentions, and deportations?
Yeah, that's a great question and very timely question. While on the Board of Ed, we've seen similar instances in East Orange. Our community in East Orange is pretty diverse, and it is characterized by a population of folks who are from different countries. I think it's important to embrace that diversity, but it's also important to protect people where we can and how we can. Um, I advocated while on the Board of Education for Know Your Rights campaigns, and noting this for them to be held virtually so folks can attend safely, so that people know how to protect themselves, their family members. I worked with our board to pass some policies to support families and protecting them. But sometimes I know that we can be limited because ICE is a federal agency, but we do have the authority to decide where we will not cooperate. And as county commissioners, we can work to pass policies that show where we stand and where our values lie in not cooperating. I think it's important to note that as the Supreme Court and our federal leaders, seek to diminish this idea of what the American dream looks like or who is American enough, right? Many of us, if we were to roll back this idea that no person who is not from America is American, is considered American, nearly all of us would not be here. So I think it's important to note that we all make up America. We all, as diverse as we are, play a role in the American dream. And our backgrounds are this melting pot is the beauty of who we are. So as county commissioner, I would do my best to work with the stakeholders to ensure that we pass policies that protect families. So that's important to me.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. How can the county and municipalities collaborate to promote environmental sustainability, protect green spaces, reduce greenhouse gas emissions, and increase resilience to climate change?
Yeah. So I kind of touched on this a little bit, but I want to create a plan for the county to have like a resiliency plan in place. Some municipalities have that, some do not. Some school districts have it, some do not. However, if we work together to create one, county and municipalities together, we can address issues like stormwater management. We can address issues like preservation of green spaces. I think that takes collaboration and open dialogue and conversations amongst all leadership. So I think it's a joint effort. It's a joint effort for sure.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Okay, my next question is, what do you support doing to help ensure that cyclists and pedestrians can travel freely and safely throughout Essex County?
Yeah, no, this is a big issue. So I live in East Orange. I've mentioned that, but in East Orange, I live near Central Avenue. And I'm sure if you're aware of the makeup of Central Avenue, there's probably every fast food place you can think of all on Central Avenue. It's a little dangerous because yeah, you might break your diet very easily. But I say all that to say there are a ton of men and women, individuals that are delivery drivers that deliver along that road. And there are no bike lanes in this area. And it makes it hard for pedestrian safety, for commuters, for travel, for everyone to coexist in this space. We don't want to diminish the fact the space for like folks on bikes and electric bikes, mopeds, whatever the case may be, to earn a living. We want them to be able to earn a living, but be safe while on the road, as well as pedestrians to be able to cross the street and be safe on the road. And then drivers to be able to manage the dynamic between the bikes, the mopeds, and the pedestrians. So it takes certainly a reevaluation of how we plan out our county roads to accommodate the space for that, as well as parking. So that is something I think about often as someone who drives up and down this road, having to navigate between cars, mopeds. It's something we see, I think, that unites every part of this district is united in that way. I also hear from residents, like I mentioned, I've had some meet and greet events. Residents in South Orange in particular are concerned about walkability. They want to be able to walk to downtown areas and enjoy, dinner or grab coffee. And it's important that they're able to do that safely. So putting the proper protections in place, whether that's speed tables, bump outs that allow for ADA compliance, whatever the case may be, to ensure that folks are able to enjoy their communities safely.
Yes, yes, yes. I grew up on Central Avenue in Newark and familiar with the Central Avenue corridor.
Yes.
And I also lived in East Orange before moving here to South Orange.
Nice.
As healthcare costs skyrocket, what can the county do to help ensure that healthcare is accessible and affordable for all residents, particularly immigrants, the uninsured, and trans residents?
This is a good one. This is a good question. Healthcare is, let me start with this. Healthcare is a right. It's a right that everyone should have access to. And especially our most vulnerable populations and our workforce as well. When I say our most vulnerable populations, that includes our seniors, our youngest, those who have limited access to healthcare, they should have it. The more you're able to ensure that there are healthy people as individuals, the better you are able to produce healthy communities, healthy environments. How do we do that? It requires us to advocate with our federal folks to ensure that there's healthcare for all. In terms of the county commissioners, I think it's important for us to ensure that we preserve our workforce ability to have affordable health care when we work with them in negotiating spaces, our labor unions, using them as partners together, collaborating to address and tackle the issues as it relates to the State Health Benefits Plan. I'm also enrolled in the State Health Benefits Plan, and it is quite expensive. And folks shouldn't have to compromise or sacrifice their access to quality health care for their other basic needs. So I think it's important that we work together, especially with our federal and state partners, to advocate for healthcare, but then also as county commissioners to ensure that our workforce has access to quality healthcare there.
And the last question is there anything else you'd like to talk about that we haven't covered so far?
Okay. I'm not sure, but I am grateful for this opportunity to share more about myself. I heard from my colleagues that are running that they had the opportunity to interview with you all. And I said, I also want to interview. South Orange is a part of this district. And I want to make sure that the residents there know who I am and know that I'm here to serve them. Whether I have 5 opponents or I am running unopposed, it is important for me to put in the work to earn every single vote. So that is why I wanted to have this conversation. It is important for me. So I appreciate you both for taking the time to, connect with me and ask these important questions. And I want to keep this dialogue going. I invite anybody who is going to watch this to feel free to reach out to me, connect with me on social media, visit my website, medinahmuhammad.com. You can see it up here. And connect with me and share more about the values that you hold and what's important to you, because it's important to me to hear from you. I'm not just running in this role to have a title. I am running to work for you. So that is why I'm here, because I want to earn every single person's vote. So I appreciate you.
And we appreciate you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll look forward to seeing you around.
Take care.